Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate. How determined is the left to stop the Indo-US nuclear deal? That's the key issue I shall explore today with the General Secretary of the Communist Party of India, A.B. Bardhan. Mr. Bardhan, in your letter to the Prime Minister on Friday, you said that if the government goes ahead with the nuclear deal, we will be left with no other option than to withdraw support to the government. Do you mean that, or is it just bluster?
I mean it. We don't indulge, you see, in bluff and bluster. I don't think that is good politics. And the Prime Minister knows it. In that letter I have said that you are fully aware of our stand. And even then you see you are going on.
I'll take up the question whether it's bluff or bluster in a moment's time. But first of all, this is a marked shift in the left's position. In November, you gave the government permission to go to the IAEA on condition that they consult you after the negotiations before even initialing them. But now, before they can even do that, you changed your mind and you said don't go forward at all.
They no longer talk about that. They are going ahead. You see, he calls Atal Bihari Vajpayee Bhishma Pitama. It is a deliberate attempt, you see, to get him on this side, to make it a bipartisan issue. He's appealing to him. You support the deal.
You're saying the Prime Minister's actions provoked you to change your position?
Number one, his statements, I have mentioned it. And secondly, a whole series of US officials are coming here, high officials. And everyone goes on, you see, pressurizing and even blackmailing. You won't get a better deal. This is the time. Time is of the essence. You see, hurry up and all that sort of thing.
So now your position is that you no longer care about what sort of safeguards the government has negotiated. You're determined to stop the deal willy-nilly, full stop.
Anyway, that was our stand even earlier. But then, what the safeguards agreement is, what they have negotiated, they have just now informed us that on the 17th, they will tell us about it. Whether they will show us the text that they have arrived at, or just, you see, give us a resume of what talks took place, I do not know. So let us see.
But the point is no longer, but the point is no longer let us see. You see, you're not now saying we'll see the text or we'll find out about the negotiations and then judge and determine our next step. You've already decided you don't want this deal.
But that we have decided long back.
So then what was the point of going to the IAEA? If you had already decided that you weren't going to let the deal happen, why embarrass India? Why embarrass the government by going to the IAEA?
There is no embarrassment. In fact, the government said that if we don't even, if you don't even allow us to go to the IAEA, the world will think that what sort of a government is this?
But now, after letting them go to the IAEA, the world will think that even more. Because now, if the government has got an acceptable safeguards, backing out at this stage is embarrassing for India.
Tell me one thing. Why did it take so much of time?
Because they wanted the best deal. Because negotiations take time.
The deal and the negotiation took place long back. I'm talking of the safeguard.
Absolutely. They wanted the best negotiation for the safeguards. It took a little time. Now they've achieved a result they're happy with. You're embarrassing them.
No, the result is they are trying to get into the IAEA safeguard certain things which they did not get in the deal. And I think, you see, it's trying to do it something by a wrong way. We had told them that IAEA, you see, is only a monitoring agency.
Let's accept what you're saying is correct, that they're trying to get through the IAEA, what they haven't got through the deal. The government will dispute that, but let's, for argument's sake, accept it. If they've succeeded, they should be applauded. Why are you instead using that as a grounds for negating everything?
For 3 months they are talking to the IAEA.
But so what? Time is not the critical factor.
No, to me it is not. Because since we are not in favor of the deal, let the time flow.
But don't you see, when you permitted them to go to the IAEA, it was clearly stated that you would judge the outcome at the meeting. Now, you're no longer concerned because you've already announced they can't go forward. So not only have you changed your position, but you've embarrassed the government and the country.
You are forgetting that they were pushing ahead. They were declaring their intention to push ahead, regardless of what they are negotiating with the IAEA, about which they told us they will come.
So you're coming back to the point you made, that the Prime Minister's statements in Parliament regarding Vajpayee, the Prime Minister's talks with American officials and the statements the American officials have pushed you.
No.
But in other words, you're holding the government hostage because of the Prime Minister's rhetoric or because what American senators have said in Delhi. Is that wise?
The Prime Minister is the government, if I may say so, as far as the deal is concerned.
So a stray statement of rhetoric on the floor of the House and you're holding the whole country hostage to that?
You mean what the Prime Minister said in the House, you see, was a stray statement? I don't think so. And I also don't think that his, you see, Talking about Atal Bihari Vajpayee as the Bhishma Pitamaha of Indian politics is also not a stray statement.
Why is it such a terrible thing? Why should it have provoked you in this way?
Series of statements. In fact, I began the letter by saying that a series of statements made by you and by American
But you
officials.
specifically referred in your letter to the Bhisham Pitama comparison. Why is it such a terrible thing for the Prime Minister to do? Why has it provoked you?
Because he is trying to get the deal through, you see, with the help of the BJP.
But that's good politics.
No, but I told him that you are also talking about a consensus. You are forgetting that there was no consensus in Parliament.
But if he can now achieve it by appealing to Vajpayee, why penalize him for that?
Oh, so Vajpayee, you see this Bhishma Pitama in Mahabharata, as you know, a very venerable figure, a grandfather-like figure and all that sort of, he stood helpless, you see, when
But many
in
people in
open
India
court,
believe
you
it's
see,
a,
Draupadi
but
was
many
being
people
disrobed.
believe it's an apt comparison. Many people believe that Atal Bihari Vajpayee deserves the credit. In fact, they say the government should have given it earlier. Now, why are you using this as an excuse
No,
to change your position,
I
embarrass
only-
the government,
I
embarrass
only
the
said-
country?
I only reminded him that the Bhishma Pitama of Mahabharata also stood watching
Let me,
while the biggest insult to womanhood that can be there, a woman being
To be
disrobed
honest, you didn't
in
say that
open
in your
court.
letter. You
I have
didn't say
not said
that.
it, but I said that that is what will happen. What can
well,
happen?
that's another matter. Let's come out of the Bhisham Pitama. That's only a small element. Let's come back to the core issue. Are you now saying that regardless of how good the safeguards the government has negotiated with the IAEA may be, you are determined not to let the process go further?
You see, because our complaint was not about the IAEA. We have no problems with the IAEA. We have no problems with the safeguards. After all, if we go ahead with nuclear energy, there has got to be safeguards. There has got to be the IAEA. IAEA is in the picture very much.
You just don't want the deal itself.
You have come to the core issue. Now you are.
In which,
We
case
have
you, were, in
always
which
said-
case you were simply fooling the government when you let them go to
No,
the
no, no,
IAEA.
but-
You raised false hopes, knowing you were going to dash them anyway.
No hopes we raise. Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, for instance, is on record saying that we know what the left position is.
But the whole country, led by the press and led by Congress people speaking to the press, but not perhaps in public, hoped, prayed, kept their fingers crossed that one obstacle was over, the others would be got over as well.
They
You
thought-
knew at that point that this was a fool's paradise they were living in, and you allowed them. Now, I say to you, that has embarrassed the government, it's embarrassed India, it's going to make the country look foolish in the eyes of the
I
world.
don't think it will look that the country is very democratic, that it has to listen to the voice of the people, that it has to take into account what the parliamentary debate was, and that it has also to observe the coalition dharma.
Tell me this, since you've already announced that you will withdraw support if the government goes further, what's the purpose of this meeting on Monday the 17th? We know the outcome.
No, we will know exactly what took place in the IAEA.
Fine, but that's not going to change your opinion. You made that clear. So what's the purpose of this meeting?
Anyway, we are a political party. They
Have
are
you
in
got that much
government.
time that you want to
They
waste
are
it
in
in
the- they
meetings
are
for
in
no
the business
purpose at
of
all?
they are in the business of governance. Let us see
Let us
what
see
sort
what.
of a safeguard.
But suppose they end up, okay, let's take that up. Suppose they end up with brilliant safeguards, safeguards that are so totally in India's favor that you can never get them again. Then what will you do?
You please remember that there is France, there is Russia, who are also negotiating with us,
Please.
and who have no hide act
Please,
to impose
Mr.
on us.
Bardhan, none of them can actually do nuclear business with India without the IEA safeguards, without the NSG waiver. Those two are essential.
And-
But you're stopping
and you
that,
must
so
have
you're
al-
stopping France,
you
Russia,
must
Britain,
have-
everyone.
You must have already noticed that the US senators have already declared that without us there will be no waiver.
Can I put something to you? Can I put something to you? Since it is agreed and you accept it, that India can't do nuclear business with France, Russia, China, or Britain, or anyone, without the IEA safeguards and without the NSG clearance, why not let the process go all the way to the NSG clearance? Once the NSG clearance is done, the window to all these countries has been opened. At that point, stop the government from signing the 123 with America. It's only America that will then be affected. The rest of the NSG will have been opened. Why not do that? It will be more in India's interest.
No, you are forgetting that the whole government is moving on the basis of the Indo-US nuclear agreement. After all, they need not have moved on the basis
But
of
once the NSG windows open,
No,
you will have
you
secured
are-
a relationship with
you
France
are-
and Russia and
you
China.
you are
Then you
suggest-
can say no to the actual deal with America.
You are suggesting a way which ab initio is wrong, because the government is going on the basis of the Indo-US nuclear deal.
Suppose the government says to you what I'm saying today, let this process carry on to the point at
Let
which
the
the
government-
NSG waiver's been done.
Okay, let the government give a statement like that.
If it does, is there
If it
room?
do-
Is there room in you to accept it?
If it says that it is not going to accept the Hyde Act, it is not going to accept the 123 agreement.
But let us go to the NSG.
Let us hear it. Let us hear it. I will not answer, you see, a hypothetical question.
But you're saying clearly that there is room here for concession if they say
No.
this.
If they say that, what is our problem? If they say that they are not going ahead with the
Okay.
deal, we have no problem.
Oh, no. If they say let us go all the way to the NSG, and at that
No,
point,
you
and
are-
at that point, having got the NSG clearance, we don't have to sign with America. That's what you're prepared to consider, provided the government say it. That's the catch. Provided the government say it.
No, you are forgetting that the Americans are insisting that there will be a waiver only if you agree with the deal. That also has been made clear.
No.
And they have said that
No.
without the
Hang on a
US...
moment. The NSG clearance comes before India signs on the dotted line of the 123. Therefore, I repeat, let it go all the way to the NSG, then throw the spanner in the works.
India has to sign nothing on the dotted line. After you see the
Don't
NSG,
unravel what
it
you
is-
said. Don't
after-
unravel what you said. You opened the
After-
window,
after-
suddenly you
no,
realize
no.
what you've done. Now you're trying to close the
I
window.
realize nothing. I am saying this, that our problem is about the deal. Our problem is not about the safeguards agreement.
And not about the NSG either.
What?
And not about the
Not
NSG
about the
either.
NSG either, provided the NSG is not conditional as it is today.
It's not at the moment.
It
The
is.
NSG will be giving India, we hope, an unconditional waiver. If that,
You are forgetting that no unconditional waiver will come unless the Americans support it.
absolutely.
And
So you
America-
don't have to reveal to
America-
America what you intend to do at the
Americans-
final stage. At this stage,
Americans have made it clear because it is they who will get the NSG waiver for us.
yes, absolutely.
Not us.
But
We are
can
not
go,
in the
but-
NSG.
But wait a moment. We can go all the way to the NSG clearance and then at that stage not sign with America. At least let us go that far.
You
Don't
are-
throw the spanner
you
before
are-
you need to.
You are saying something which, as I said, is ab initio absurd.
Well, that's what
because
you're saying.
After all, they will go to the NSG only on the basis of the deal.
Yes, but there's no reason why the Americans have to know the ultimate thinking of the government in advance.
Oh.
Get the NSG window open with the American key. Once you're through to the NSG, you don't have to go all the way with Congress in America.
It is a new lesson in politics, and you see,
It's a lesson how you help
it
yourself
is
by
a
being
new
clever.
lesson in politics and diplomacy that you are suggesting.
Let's take a break while you're smiling. Let the audience interpret that smile once again as a second endorsement
No,
of what we had talked earlier. I'll be back in a moment's time to talk about just how serious is the threat to withdraw support, or is it just, as I said earlier, rhetoric and bluster? Welcome back to Devil's Advocate and an interview with the General Secretary of the Communist Party of India, A.B. Bardhan. Mr. Bardhan, let's now take up your threat to withdraw support. The problem is that at least 4 times in the last 4 years, you personally have made such threats but not lived up to them. So how can you convince me that this time round it's more serious?
No, but you are forgetting one thing. What we said, the government did not proceed ahead. We said, if you proceed ahead, you see, we will have to withdraw support. They have not proceeded
No,
ahead.
forgive me. Let me quote some of the threats that you bandied at the government and which you then forgot about very conveniently. Right? You said in Chandigarh in March 2005, we support you only on the basis of the common minimum program. If you deviate, a situation will arise when we will say goodbye. You've accused them of deviating at least 20 times since 2005, but no bye-byes have been said.
That was not about the nuclear deal alone. That was about the common minimum program and the violation
And
of
you
that
keep
program.
saying that they violate it every day. You say, in fact, they haven't fulfilled
No.
it at all. You're not happy with them.
That will be one-sided. You see, after all, the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, the right to of tribals in the forest.
So you've suddenly found reasons for changing your position.
No, the right
Can I
to
quote
Information
you,
Act.
Can I quote to you what you said, in fact, in 2007, April? You said, I feel the time will come very soon when the left will introspect, review their support, and part company. The time will come very soon. We're a year away. You haven't parted company. You're constantly making threats.
Well, no, nothing has happened.
Because
It's
you've
not
backed
gone
off. You've backed off every time.
They have not, you see, gone ahead.
Well, actually,
Even today, I think that they are not going ahead.
well, that's another matter.
They may not go ahead.
Well, may not, will not, let's leave that for time to tell. Let's actually take
If they
up,
go,
let's,
we will be there.
well, this is it. Will you be there? Let's take up specifically how the left has behaved over the nuclear deal. When the Hyde Act was passed by the US Congress, you said immediately in December 2006, don't negotiate the 123. The government did, you kept quiet, you accepted it. Then, when the 123 was negotiated, you immediately said, don't go to the IAEA. They twisted your arm, you agreed, they went to the IAEA. Now that they've come back from the IAEA, you're saying, don't pursue the deal. I bet they'll twist your arm again and you'll find a way of letting them go forward.
Karan, are you devil's advocate or the advocate of the government? I do not know exactly what you are. But let me tell you one thing. You see, the government has not gone ahead up till now. If it does, it will have to face the consequences. And.
You know,
Mr. Pranab Mukherjee knows it well, and therefore he has said that a minority government may not be able to sign it.
Mr. Mukherjee is only saying that to appease you and to reduce the public temperature. You know, and I know that the Americans have made clear that leave aside a minority government,
even a
caretaker government.
Exactly. And that is why I got provoked and I told the Prime Minister that these are very suggestive, you see, statements made.
It may be, but come back to what I'm saying. You will call their bluff, but in the end they'll call yours because you threatened support and you did it. You've done it 3 times, you'll do it again.
Let us see. Only time will show who is calling who.
I'm saying to you that your behavior on the deal is a bit like the big bad wolf in the children's fairy story. You huff and you puff, but you know you can't blow the house down.
You see, they are so afraid of the house falling right on their, around their ears that they are not going ahead.
Then tell me this, if you are going to stick to your threat of withdrawing support, the critical question is this: is withdrawal of support the same as bringing the government down?
We withdraw our support. Whether the government is reduced to a minority and continues or not, it is for the parliament to see.
Well, hang on.
Whether at that time the government itself decides, you see, to dissolve the parliament and become a caretaker is also there. Actually, Richard Boucher of America, he has suggested to the government.
Well, let me come back in what you said, because this is critical. You will withdraw support if the government goes ahead with the deal. Will you at that point move a vote of no confidence against the government in parliament?
You see, a vote of no confidence can get through only if the BJP also supports it, isn't it?
Well, first of all, will you move it? Will you move it?
No, no.
You won't move it.
It becomes a minority government, that's all.
So you are. So in fact, after you withdraw support, the government could well
Now
continue as a minority government. You've just said that.
Let us, you and I, both of us ask the question, will this minority government dare to go ahead and sign international deal?
That's another matter.
Let's
first clarify the situation. You're saying to me that if the government goes ahead with the deal, you'll withdraw support. But you're also saying that the government could continue as a minority.
No, I'm not saying it could continue. I said it will become a minority, I have said.
If
this minority government wants to sign a deal, let us see it.
Hang on a moment. Will you, after you withdraw support, move a vote of no confidence against the government?
That we'll think of at that time. You see, this is not,
That's a clear way of saying, no, you're not going to do
it. This is not conditional.
One more quick question. Yes. If after you withdraw support, the BJP moves a vote of no confidence against the government, will you vote against the government or will you abstain?
I don't think any such situation will arise. If the government becomes a minority, it will have to dissolve the parliament.
Not at all. Minority governments have continued. Narasimha Rao ruled for 5 years as a minority.
He
signed the WTO as a minority.
Minority governments have not gone ahead.
He signed the WTO as a minority. That was even more important than what we're talking about.
WTO was signed by Pranab Mukherjee when he was the
Yes, but Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister
today.
At that
time he was no longer the minority.
He definitely was, and he was a minority.
He started as a minority.
He was a minority practically all the way through.
He had managed by that time.
Let me put something to you. You're making it very clear that there is a big difference between withdrawing support and bringing the government down.
No.
You'll make it a minority, but a minority can continue for a whole year.
There is a big difference as far as the government, its conscience and its policy is concerned, and its willingness to sign a deal, even if it is a minority.
Conscience is suddenly a matter of morality. The politics will allow a minority to sign the deal.
The senior-most minister concerned directly with the deal, he has himself said that I do not think that a minority government can sign it.
That was only for your ears, that was only for public appeasement.
What do you mean?
The bottom line that I'm taking away from this interview...
The minister makes a statement only for my sake?
The bottom line I'm taking away from this interview is that A.B. Bardhan will reduce the government to a minority, but a minority can continue for a full year, and that minority could sign the deal if it wants to. That's the bottom line. And you're smiling.
The bottom
that
line.
Smile says
no,
it all.
Sir, that will mean, you see, that this government has lost ethos, lost confidence, lost everything.
Maybe lost its morality, but it stays in power. Mr. Bardhan, I think you've confirmed it. Thank you very much for talking to Devil's Advocate.